How about a story time with some pictures? When I was around 20 years old, my brand new Mormon returned missionary husband and I bought a windshield business. It was really successful. It was 96, and our very first month, our take-home pay was $14,000, and it just went up from there. We had more money than we knew what to do with. For the first couple of years, we just worked from our home. I had windshield racks out in the garage and an office upstairs, and while I ran the whole entire show, I did all of the phone calls, advertising, marketing, all of the accounting, quotes, customer care. I did all the routing and the schedules and everything. And my husband went out during the day and actually did the windshield installs. About a year into running that business, I had a surprise pregnancy and my first baby was born. One night, I had to go meet with my Mormon stake president for my Temple Recommend interview for all you Mormons out there. And he asked me, what do you like to do all the time, Sister Green? And I told him, I like to hike, I like spicy Mexican food, and I run our business Monday through Friday from about 7 to 7. He looked at me with absolute shock. His name was President Stradling. I still remember this guy who changed my life forever. And he was like, oh, I knew that Brother Green had a windshield business, but I had no idea that you were involved in it. And he told me that Heavenly Father had commanded me to stay home and raise my baby. And he called Jake into his office and he said, hey, why don't you guys spend the week fasting and praying about how to phase Sister Green out of the business so that she can obey Heavenly Father's commandment to stay home and be a wife and mother. And 1 week later, we hired my sister to take over answering the phones, and I would never, ever be employed again until 5.5 years ago when I divorced. So here's a picture of me with my son in our home office, and I was still kind of working like I was helping my sister, I think, on this day or doing something, filing, doing the taxes. But I no longer had my name on the LLC, and I no longer had a salary, and I no longer had any income. We also had a secondary business, which was buying and sometimes flipping and sometimes custom building homes. This home here, I designed from the ground up with my architect uncle. I oversaw the subcontractors. I literally drew the floor plan with the architect. I did all of the interior design, bought all the furniture, did all of the landscaping, and it was my realtor who then would eventually sell the home for a massive $250,000 profit, while my husband didn't even live in the same state with me. He wasn't even there to hire the realtor, sell the home. When this household, I didn't even have a bank account. The money went into Jake's bank account. I didn't have any access to it. He was giving me little envelopes of cash to go grocery shopping with, and we had $250,000 from money from a home that I had built sitting in his bank account that I couldn't touch. But that was okay because he was my husband. We were building a life together. It was our money. A couple of years after that, when Jake was partners of some type in an auto dealership, I don't actually even know all of the specifics, and I'll probably never know. He decided that he was going to drive transport for this auto dealership. And so he got a CDL license and started going out on the road, and I decided that I was going to go with him. So I worked on getting my CDL permit, and while my mother-in-law came and stayed with our kids, I spent 2 weeks out of every month driving across the country, tarping loads, unloading loads, gassing up a truck, sleeping in a truck stop, showering in truck stop restroom, brokering some of the loads, actually doing the distribution, mapping and doing everything. And also, while doing all of that, prepping all of the food so that Jake had custom gourmet food to take on the road with him. And I didn't get paid for any of it. In fact, it was a really weird dynamic. We would go into truck stops and he would be like, if you need to buy yourself some new sunglasses or anything, then go ahead and help yourself. And it made me very much feel like I had felt for our whole entire 22 years of marriage at that point, that he was my sugar daddy and that I was completely dependent on him. Kind of like the feeling that I had when I was a middle school girl with my mom and dad. Yay, my mom bought me a pair of sunglasses that I can't afford by myself, when in fact I was working the same number of hours and driving the same miles as him. And we lived in really nice houses, and we worked hard and invested and built a really great lives for ourselves. And we provided a beautiful, beautiful experience for our kids. We ran these family businesses together for 24 years. So that at some point we could retire and coast into our 50s and put the kids through college and maybe buy a little place in Hawaii and just relax. Instead, My husband abandoned me and his kids for a 19-year-old escort 24 years into our marriage. And my name wasn't on the business and my name wasn't on our vehicles. My name wasn't even on the condo that he was able to evict me from just simply because I had never even existed. All he had to do was move out and cancel the lease, and they kicked me out. Within 2 days, I couldn't buy groceries. Within 10 months, I would be living in my car. Only one of us is living the life of our dreams, vacationing across the country, doing whatever they want, going to the gym twice a day. And let me give you a guess, but it isn't me. Ironically, Jake has taken up baking sourdough bread, which is so weird. He even uses the little blade and scores the little designs on top. I don't have time for that shit. I'm trying to play catch up as a 50-year-old woman to support my kids and try to have some type of retirement so that I'm not just living in a box when I'm 90. A man is not a plan, never has been, never will be.